Now, when we look at our application, we discover that we're manually passing data through the constructor of our widget. For instance, when we look at a hard card dialog widget, uh, here inside our stateful widget, we're passing this function with these two properties on hard card, and then we're passing it inside the constructor. And then here in our flash screen, we're accessing it inside our show dialog void method here, and then we are setting the value of the properties here inside this dialog. The same way with this flashcard, although it's a stateless widget, but then we're passing two properties through the constructor, and then inside our flash screen we are calling it inside our card list here. Then we're setting the values of the property. Now this works for application of this size. If we're building a large application, you realize that as our application grows bigger, as we add more screens, this approach can become quite tedious, maybe difficult to manage. So Flutter gives us a cleaner approach to manage data in that kind of application. So it's not a fix-all, but then there are domains where the approach works. It's known as inherited widget. So it's an inherited widget. Inherited widget, it's a built-in it's a Flutter built-in way to efficiently share data down the widget tree. So the foundation of efficient state propagation in Flutter. Let's look at what else we have here. So this is the problem that inherited widget solves. It solves the problem of prop drilling, where we're trading data every intermediate widget, even when those widgets do not use it. It also solves the problem of rebuild waste. When we use inherited widgets, we have to notify Flutter what widget should be rebuilt based on its subscription to our inherited widget. And then inherited widget also solves this problem of tight coupling, where deep widget become tightly coupled to the exact shape of the widget tree above them. So how do we go about it? We register a dependency. That dependency we call depend on inherited widget of exact type. This dependency is a helper method. The helper method is going to register our children, that is those widgets that are going to depend on our inherited widget. And then we do the selective rebuild. It's going to be a Boolean method, which is going to notify our Flutter, which is going to notify Flutter which widget should be rebuilt. And then there is this O1 lookup, which is a constant time lookup, which is says access is constant time via the elementary, no walking the entire hierarchy. And then of course we have the media query deemed out of context. This they use inherited widget in Flutter. When we get to provider, maybe we'll talk more on inherited widget, but then I'm going to stop for this introduction for now. And then so to do this, we're going to come back to this later on. We're going to re-implement this one. This is our flashcard quiz application. But then before we get into this, I'm going to use a trivial example to explain inherited widget. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to close this project. Oh, sorry. Okay, so this is going to terminate. So I'm going to build a new Flutter project here. Next. Oh, that's not the approach I was hoping for, but then it should get the work done. Okay, so so this is what we have. It's called untitled. I don't want this to happen. uh, because I made a mistake in the course of okay, but I'm gonna leave it anyway. So it's still gonna get the work done. I think I double click in the process of building this. So here inside our library folder, we have a main.dat like we always do whenever we boot up a new Flutter project, like so. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an inherited widget. I'm not going to create it here. I'm going to create it elsewhere. And then, so here I'm going to call I'm going to build a new dat file. I'm going to call this counter inherited thing that does it. Okay. And then here I'm going to do import package, and then Flutter material.dat, and then so here we're going to do okay, I made a mistake here. So I'm going to do class counter inherited extend inherited widgets. Do we have it here? Okay, inherited widget, like so. So this is what we're going to do. Now, our class is extending inherited widgets. So in the constructor, we're going to do const counter inherited widget, or counter inherited, and then here we're going to pass pay attention to what we're going to do here. We're going to pass of course super.key, obviously there, and then the next one we're going to do, or before we pass inside the constructor, let's define a property here. We can have the data we want to pass int. We want to do count. That's the first one. The second data we want to pass, it's going to be a void callback, and then we're going to call that increment, like so. And then here we're just going to pass here. It's going to be require this dot count, and the next one is going to be required this dot increment, like so. Now there's one more we need to do, which is going to be required super dot child. Now this child property is going to hold the widget tree for our inherited widget. That is the widgets that are going to get data or subscribe to data from our inherited widgets. So this is complaining, I think, yeah, because we still have some methods to implement. So here we're going to have the first one is going to be an override, and then for this override it's a boolean. This boolean is going to do, before we do that, okay, boolean update update should notify. What am I doing? Should notify, like so. And then this is going to take counter inherited. That's not the approach I was looking for. Counter inherited, and then we're gonna call this old widget, like so. And then here we're gonna return count. It's not equals to old widget dot count. Like so. Okay, So this method, what it does is it notifies Flutter what which widget to rebuild. So this is not going to rebuild our entire widget tree at once, like so. Okay. We also need another echo method. So this we're going to have an echo method that allows allows children to subscribe. So this is going to be a static method. Static. Uh, it's it's of type counter inherited, and then the name is of, and then it takes build context, and then in here we can have final result. So result can be context dot did depend on inherited widget of exact type, and then the type is going to be, of course, our counter inherited, like so. And then we have to do something with this result. So maybe we want to assert this is that boolean method. So you can do result is not equals to null. Then we want to say no counter inherited found in context, like so. So what this is going to do, what it's saying is no counter. Okay, I have to return result anyway. Return result, like so. I think I made a mistake somewhere. Okay, so this is going to take a bang operator. Okay, now we have to use it. So we have now I want you to pay attention here that the data that we need is inside our inherited widget. Now inherited widget is immutable, so in order for us to use it, we have to wrap it in a stateful widget. So in order to use this, we need to create a stateful widget somewhere. So to do that, I'm going to go to main.app. So I don't want this to be, and then this is a stateless widget for now. We don't need all of this. Okay. It's going to complain, so I'm going to do stateful. Okay. So this is going to be my app, like so, stateful widget. Okay. So inside this stateful widget, we're going to call our inherited widgets. So here in the state of my app, before we get to the build method, we're going to do, let's say, int. So let's make this private count equals to 0, like so. And then we can have a void, an increment method as well, increment. And then this is going to return a set state. Here we're going to have, no, I don't want to use this approach. And then we can have, we can increment our count, like so. And then here, instead of returning a placeholder, we're going to return our counter inherited here. So this is how we use it. So here we're going to do, inside our build method, we're going to do counter inherited. So it's going to import it here automatically. Android Studio is going to import it for us like that. So here we just need to pass the values of these data that we're passing here. So for our count, we're going to pass it as count here. So let's pass underscore, and then for the increment, we're going to pass it as the increment function here. So it's going to be underscore, like so. I don't know what is it complaining about. So remove const. Okay, sorry. Okay, so that's that. And then for our child, maybe we want to pass, I don't know, because we still need our material app anyway. So here we want to pass material app. Remember what we said about material app. It builds our Flutter UI. So here, material hub requires home property. So maybe we use scaffold here. Scaffold. For scaffold body, inside our body, we can have center, and then inside center, we could have child, and then inside our child, let's pass another widget here. We can call that counter display. Here we're gonna create this widget in a minute, and then see it's complaining, so we have to create it in a minute. And then for our scaffold after body, we can have we can have floating action button. Let's have floating action button, and then it takes the floating action button constructor here. And then for the onPress, obviously we can pass the void method increment here, like so. And then the other property that this require, so child, we can have const icon, and then inside our icon, let's have icons dot add, like so. So we're left with counter display. Now you realize that in the course of doing this, we're not passing data through the constructor of our widget. The only thing we did was to create our inherited widget here, like so, and then we're now subscribing to our inherited widget here in this main.dat. So the next thing we need to do is this counter display. So I'm just going to do it here. I'm going to create it here, new dat file, counter display, like so. And then for our counter display, we're gonna just gonna be a stateless widget. So I'm gonna stateless. So it's gonna be counter display, like so. I need to import. What am I doing? I need to import Flutter package A, or material package rather. Package Flutter material.dat, like so. And then for our display, now this is where it gets interesting. We can subscribe. So this is the widget that is going to, this widget is going to subscribe to our counter inherited. Remember, we have wrapped this in a stateful widget using my app is a stateful widget. So counter inherited, we're returning counter inherited in a stateful widget. So now I want to subscribe to it inside this counter display. So the way we do that, we can go inside the build method. Inside the build method, we can do something like final inherited, and then here we can do counter inherited. Okay, so this is doing too much. This is not what I intended. Counter inherited dot of context, like so. Now this, remember, this of method, what is it? It's static. This is it. It's static. So we don't have to instantiate our class before using it. We can call it directly in our class. So, but it's of type counter inherited. So it's static here. This is it. We say it's a helper method that allows students to subscribe. So in order for us to subscribe, we are calling it here, this method. Okay, and then we can use this variable, final variable inherited, to access it. So inside here, maybe we want to do return text. It's nothing fancy, just text here. And then here we can call count, and then we can concatenate. So to access count, to access this count data, we can just access it using inherited. Remember, we are subscribing to use through the static of method. So we can do inherited dot count, like so. And then maybe we want to style it, style. Then you can do dim dot of context. Remember we said dim dot of context uses InheritedWidget in the background. See, this of context, just as we did here. So I text dim and say headline medium. Let's do it like so. And then we have to import it here, like so. Good. So that's all. Now what is the issue here? There's a problem. Return content inherited. What is the issue here? Material hub. I think I made a mistake here. Okay, so that's gone. Okay. Now, the takeaway here is we are not doing the prop drilling anymore. We're just subscribing. We set our data here, and then we wrap it inside a stateful widget by returning it here, and then we're subscribing to it here. So now we can use a pixel emulator and then run it, and let's see what we get. I'm going to take care of this later on, but this should still work. Okay, so now this is what we have, count. So see, it's working as before. Now, there is another approach, another pattern, which is known as an encapsulated pattern. So what the encapsulated pattern does is it hides the inherited widget from the children. So in that pattern, instead of creating the static dot of method here inside, instead of this, what we do is we wrap it. We create a stateful widget, and then inside that stateful widget, we have the static of method there. Maybe we will look at that pattern in the next video. But guys, that's all for InheritedWidget for this. I'll see you in the next video.